We all have our favorite video games, and our least favorite video games. But even with our favorite video games, there's certain levels, or even parts, that we don't like as much, or even outright hate. The Water Temple in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is the best example. Oh, come on! Water Temple can't be that bad!
Where do I go? Ugh, not these things again! No, I need a key! Oh, not you! This goddamn slope!
Oh, what have I gotten myself into? Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of the best Zelda games ever released. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was the best Zelda game, at least until Breath of the Wild came out. I got my copy around Christmas time, and I remember waking up and seeing the brand new N64 unwrapped under the tree with Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time alongside it, and the strategy guide too. I sat at the kitchen table reading through the strategy guide while I was waiting for my parents to wake up. But even though I got a sneak peek at the game, it never prepared me for what would later be known as the most hated level in the entire game. The Water Temple.
The Water Temple is not the hardest dungeon, nor is it the hardest water-based level out of all the Zelda games, but it is the most annoying. It's like that guy at school that makes everyone sigh when he comes around. Yeah, you know the one. If the cooler and more well-liked Shadow and Spirit Temples weren't after this one, most players would probably just turn off the console and call it a complete playthrough.
This level can be so annoying that some of you probably do anyway. I like to call this level the Temple of Water and Dicks, because that's exactly what's in it. Water and dicks.
The Tektites are dicks, the spiky balls are dicks, the clams are dicks, the one who decided to put that goddamn slope before the boss is a dick, and the boss itself looks like a dick, but the mini-boss is the biggest dick of them all.
Now, that sounds like a lot of dicks, but trust me, the rest of it's water.
Before we begin, I just want you to know that I'm playing the N64 version of the game. However, everything I say in this video should apply to both the GameCube and 3DS versions as well. Just keep in mind that we're talking about the normal quests of the game and not the Master Quest, which, to be honest, I stopped playing after getting to this level. This level takes place halfway through the adult portion of the game. Zora's domain is frozen over, King Zora is trapped in red ice, Jabu Jabu is either gone or a fishsicle, and Princess Ruto is nowhere to be found. Again. After going through the ice cavern, you meet up with Sheik, who proceeds to tell you that he freed Ruto from the ice, and she headed to the Water Temple to hopefully break the curse that is causing Zora's domain to freeze. Sheik then teaches you the melody that brings you to the temple, and the annoyance begins. Now, I want you to take a minute and listen to this music. Just close your eyes and listen to it. Relaxing, isn't it?
This is the sole purpose of the music. To calm you down. Because the rest of the dungeon is designed to piss you off.
You start off in a big open space with lots of branching paths. I was going to hate on the level for having so many paths and only really allowing you to go one way, but after stepping back and putting my hate for this level aside, I realized that this is what Legend of Zelda does. Hell, even in this game alone, they've done that in almost every other level. Once you get a feel for the area, you head down to the bottom and enter the room with the 2 unlit torches to find Ruto standing there waiting for you. This part is great because Ruto is all like, "Oh, just what I expected from the man who will be my husband," and Link is all like, "What?" After talking with Ruto, you remove the iron boots and float all the way up to get out of the water. Remember this. This is important. From here, you can go through the door, defeat the spiked balls, and obtain the map. More on that later. But your main reason for being here is the Triforce engraving on the wall just before the door.
And this brings me to the main mechanic of the temple. Adjusting the water level. By far, the most annoying aspect of the whole thing.
You play Zelda's Lullaby at the 3 different Triforce engravings, and it raises or lowers the water level depending on which one you are at.
This mechanic is good in theory, but it's not executed very well. For starters, it relies on your memory for where certain things are, such as chests or switches or, I don't know, cracks in the wall.
This is okay if you have a good memory, or if you take notes, or even draw a map. But if you were like me and none of these are true for you, then you are going to be wandering around raising and lowering the water constantly. Oh, that doesn't sound so bad, I hear you say. Well, no, it wouldn't be if you had control over how the water adjusts itself with each Triforce engraving. The one above Rudo only completely drains the water. The one in the middle tower only fills the water halfway. And the final one in the upper corner of the main area only fills the water completely, but you can only get to it if the water level is halfway.
Because of this, you have to make sure you search everywhere before you change the water level again. What about the map? Glad you asked.
This is by far the most annoying aspect of the level for me. In every Zelda game, unless you know the dungeons inside and out, the map and the compass are your best friends. They tell you what rooms you haven't been to, and even where chests are, and from what rooms you have to go through to get there. The water temple, however, has a lot of rooms where you enter from the bottom, and the map doesn't tell you how to get there, or even what the water level needs to be for you to get there. Basically, the mechanic of this dungeon conflicts with one of the mechanics of the game. Can you see why this is so infuriating? Alright, I've lowered the water, got 2 keys and a Skulltula, and am now ready to raise the water to the mid-level. I have to say though, the enemy placements in this level is not that bad. Except for the Tektites. They are just dicks. You notice right off the bat that while underwater, the only thing you can use is your hookshot. At the bottom level you find spikes, yes, that's their name, but you have plenty of space to move about and learn how to go about beating them. The next enemy you encounter is a shell blade, but this is after you lower the water. You can kill them easily with your bow once they open up, but the best way is with the hookshot, mainly because this will be the only way to beat them later in the level when you encounter them underwater. Other than that, you've got keys, stingers, blade traps, get to those later, like-likes, and of course, blue Tektites. But all of that is nothing compared to the mini-boss of the Water Temple.
Before I talk about him, let me first bring to your attention the mini-bosses from the other temples.
First, you got the Stalfos in the Forest Temple, or even the Pose if you want to count them. The Stalfos fit the lore of the area since those who get lost in the Lost Woods turn into Stalfos. Brilliant! Then you got the Fire Dancers in the Fire Temple. Need I say more? Brilliant! Skipping ahead, you got the Dead Hand from the Shadow Temple, a scary enemy for a scary temple. Brilliant! Then you got the Iron Knuckles. They don't really fit the Spirit Temple, but goddamn they are fun to fight! Brilliant!
Then you have the Water Temple. You would think the mini-boss would be some water-based creature, or maybe something to do with the lore of the Zoras. Instead, you get Dark Link.
Don't get me wrong, I actually don't mind that it's Dark Link. I mean, yeah, he's overused now, but back when this first came out, this was the first time we had seen Dark Link since Zelda 2.
My only question is, why is he here and not in, oh, I don't know, the Shadow Temple?
Even though he would probably be better suited for the Shadow Temple, he does fit here in the Water Temple as well. Mainly because he's a dick. Just like in Zelda 2, he moves and attacks when you do. As such, your sword attacks will mostly bounce off one another. However, if you try to stab him, he will jump up on top of your blade and stay there for a second, as if to mock you.
Also, he learned from his mistakes, so don't go thinking you can hide in a corner this time.
This time around, you are better equipped. Sure, he could deflect your sword with his, but good luck trying to deflect the hammer! Sadly, I can't help but be disappointed by this fight. You can easily beat him with both the Megaton Hammer and Din's Fire, but it would have been better if you could win by just having a sword fight. I will give the level this. It was great to see him in 3D, and if I'm being honest, he's probably the best thing about the entire level.
The biggest kick in the dick, however, is the item you get after you beat him, an upgraded hookshot called the Long Shot.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but this seems more like the kind of thing that you get from a side quest or something, especially since there is nothing special about it. It's just a longer hookshot.
Oh, I want to be done, but you know what? It's far from over. We still have to find the boss key.
This is where things start to get tricky and frustrating. With Longshot in hand, you can now backtrack to other areas you couldn't access before, which means you have to raise and lower the water over and over again until you have explored every inch of this dungeon and gotten every small key. Did you remember this? You should have. Otherwise, you couldn't get the Dark Link.
Let me just tell you how to get the boss key, just so you can see how frustrating it is. Keep in mind that I'm assuming you've gotten every other small key.
With the water level halfway, dive into the water and sink to the bottom. Head for the northern path, use the long shot to get past the spikes, and open the locked door. In the next room, make a break for it and avoid the Tektites, and if you don't sink to the bottom, the boulders beneath can't harm you either. The next room has some stingers and a small block puzzle where you must bomb the two walls on both sides and push the giant block towards the switch underwater.
You will have to alternate between pushing and pulling the block just to get it to fall down into the switch. But once you do, it will raise the water, allowing you to get up and out to the next door.
The next room doesn't have anything different to it, just more Tektites, 3 water columns instead of 1, and still that one solitary switch. This would probably give you more trouble if you still weren't used to the control stick of the Nintendo 64, but I doubt anyone who made it to this temple in this day and age would have a problem with control sticks. In the next room, wait for a boulder to pass and then head right. This passage is the same area as the room with the Tektites, however you are now in one of the tunnels where the boulders pop out. Jump in the water with your iron boots on and grab the Skulltula above your head if you wish. Continuing down the path, defeating the Shellblade along the way, will lead you to a locked door. Open it, and you shall receive the boss key.
That's it! That's everything you need to do to get the boss key. What's so frustrating about it? Well, just picture this. You just get to the door that's right before the boss key, and you're missing a key. So, you have to go all the way back, raise and lower the water levels again, just so you can find your missing key, and then do that all over again, just to get the boss key. Oh, and we're not done. Oh, no. We still have one more obstacle. One more kick in the dick. And we just have to accept it.
Here you are. You finally have everything you need to finish this dungeon. The map, the compass, the not-so-special item, and even the boss key. You went through so much to get to it, and you are probably ready to put this dungeon behind you. So, you cross the water, open the door, and come face to face with what I like to call the slope of dicketry.
Honestly, I tried every possible way to get up that slope with the least amount of damage and trouble possible. To traverse this slope, you need timing and luck on your side. More often than not, though, you're going to end up hitting a blade trap and slide all the way back down.
I managed to get up by climbing up from the left first, then swerve to the right around the middle blade trap, and nothing got in my way after that. This could be a trick, but it's also possible that I just lucked out.
Alright, you made it this far. Or perhaps you didn't. Maybe you decided to give up halfway through, or maybe you didn't even want to bother with this dungeon at all. Either way, we finally made it to the boss. Is it worth it? Is this boss so much fun that it was worth all the trouble we just did? All the raising and lowering of the water? Or is he going to be just as much of a dick as the rest of the temple?
Well, if anything, he has the basic shape of a dick down. And he has a ball. Just one, though. Don't mention it, however. He's very sensitive about that. To beat him, you must target his bouncing core with your long shot, bringing it to you so you can slash at it with your sword.
This is not as easy as it sounds.
The core is constantly on the move, and you have to be pretty lucky to catch it with your long shot, especially once it starts making the long tentacles that try to reach out and grab you. The best chance to grab the core, however, is when he's made the tentacles, as it will stop its frantic movement for a little while just to glide up to the tip of the tentacle, which makes me question the rating on this game.
The boss doesn't throw much more at you other than that. Maybe just a few more tentacles, but that's just gonna make things more hectic as you try to get the core.
Once beaten, the boss will evaporate away and Ruto will awaken as a sage and give you her medallion. And you can finally put this piece of shit level behind you!
Overall, the Water Temple is nothing but one big battle of memory and patience. No matter how well you know this dungeon or how many times you do it, you will still get dicked over. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time got a perfect score of 10 out of 10. I give the Water Temple a not-so-perfect score of 3 out of 10.
It's a blemish on a perfect game. It shows you all the places you can and have to go, but whether or not you go back to those places is all up to your memory. All the trouble you go through just to get a key is enough to drive you crazy, and the paths to the mini-boss and even the boss itself are more difficult than the actual fights. Its own mechanic conflicts with the game's normal mechanics, making both the map and compass nearly useless. As great as it is to see Dark Link again, even his fight couldn't make this temple any better.
I tried to give the level the benefit of the doubt, but by playing it again just for this video, I was reminded why people hate it so much. I will give it this though. For most players, beating the Water Temple gave them access to the fishing hole as an adult.
Got your hat! Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can hit that subscribe button because I'm gonna be making more! If you can't wait and want more, you should check out my Gamers in Need I did on Wind Waker. Or if you don't want any more Zelda, you should see the last episode I did on the Stonehenge base from Earthbound. That's all the time I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next level.